Hi, I'm Scott and welcome back to the channel. I've had a lot of requests to take a closer look at the library. Happy to do that. I think I'll also show you my collection of signed political books while we're in there. And also stay tuned to the end to see a signed document from our 16th president. Come on in. Okay, so as we enter the library, many of you have seen some of this before. We'll go around the room. First is the bar area. Been featured in several videos you can find on the Scotch collection. Then the area over here where I keep my pipes and cigars. I know that's too close to a window. I'm working on that. My tobacco, my antique safe, there's a video on that as well. Then over here are some family photos and whatnot on this wall, some older ones up there. That one box over there is kind of creepy. Maybe someday I'll show you what's in that. The back wall with a fireplace, of course. One feature I particularly like are the hand-carved panels that go all the way around. A lamp, quill and paper, and a book. And on one of them, in the back of the room, near the bar, has the initials of the carver, which is kind of cool. Another cool feature in a house of this vintage and size, over here on the mantle, just to the right of the eagle there, is a servant's call button. Hit the button and I guess someone would come running, maybe to fill up your scotch. I tried that once and sadly nobody magically appeared. We have those call buttons spread around the house and they all go back to a servant's call station. It used to be on the 3rd floor. We moved it down to the 1st floor and I'll show a picture of that. So continuing around the room, up there some of my firefighting memorabilia. I was a firefighter for 15 years. Some more up there with some antique water grenades. Those are my signed books we'll take a look at here in a second. The gun cabinet, locked and alarmed, holds a lot of my shotguns. So then on this side are some more souvenirs from my travels around the world. Maybe some of my ancient pottery will be subject of a future video. And then there's the door out and that item on the wall above my desk we'll talk about here in a second. So you can see I do have a small collection of books here in the library, mostly political and historical books. All of these right here are signed by the authors. A couple of different presidential books that are signed, a vice presidential, a candidate, and some other political leaders. I guess we'll kind of start up here. All of these books up here are signed by former directors of the Central Intelligence Agency. I'll start with Robert Gates from the Shadows. He signed this one, actually signed that one to me. This one from William Casey's, this is actually from his widow, signed to me, where she signed a nice sentiment on a book that he had written about the secret war against Hitler. Bill Casey, you may know, was a member of the OSS during World War II. Here's one from Stansfield Turner, former director. It also came with one of his old bookmarks and a few other notes in here. Some of these have other bits of memorabilia in it. That one was signed by him to someone that had requested a copy of the book. Same one with this one from Alan Dulles, again talking about his exploits during World War II. A Army acquaintance of his had written him and asked for a signed book. He did sign the book to the person, and there's a letter that accompanies it, also signed by Director Dulles, talking about the book. This one by James Schlesinger, signed in 1992. This one is actually signed by J. Edgar Hoover, longtime head of the FBI, also with a signed letter to the person that requested the book. And this one was signed in 1964. And moving down over here, one signed by former Vice President Dan Quayle in the 90s. This one by Oliver North. You can tell what what period I collected a lot of these in. Lover or Hater, I've got several signed by Sarah Palin. Find that one. There we go. Two signed by her. This one by General Powell. Colin Powell. This is a children's book. I think I got this from my mother-in-law. She had gotten it. It was signed by both Laura Bush and Jenna Bush. And this one, for you fans of aviation, Quest for Mach 1, signed by Chuck Yeager, recently deceased. Then over here, some of my more prized ones. This one, An American Life, signed by President Reagan. Two, signed by President Nixon. This one right here, His Six Crises. And oh, by the way, I have read every one of these books. And this one by Richard Nixon is kind of interesting. It was signed after he had left office. He wrote this, Richard Nixon, The Real War. Although he didn't sign the book, it came with a letter written on his post-presidency stationery where he signed the letter to the person who requested a copy of this book. So there's his signature on the letter, and it's a copy of this book, probably the exact same book that he had asked for. And this one, another by Mrs. Bush, where she signed it. And as promised, I do have another real special one to show you, so let me do that right now. So over on this side of the library above my desk, I have a really nice piece. As you can see here is President Lincoln above a fragment of a document. I'll give you a close-up of this in a minute. But what the document says is, "Let this man take the oath of December 8th, 1863 and be discharged. A. Lincoln, December 13th, 1864. What he's referring to is a speech he gave in 1863, about a year earlier than this, where he stated that any Confederate soldier or officer who renounced the Confederacy and took an oath back to the Union could be discharged if they had been captured, or when the war was over, they'd be released. A really cool document. The way this worked is people would send in a clemency request to the president. And if I took this off the wall and flipped it over, you'd see the front of the letter and a fragment of what was written there. He would then turn the letter over, write this down, give it back to the person requesting the clemency, and that would be their proof that he had ordered their release. What's happened in the years since, people would find these documents stashed away in various places, and they would just cut out the part that had his signature. And so you see a lot of these document fragments with that signature that are out there. Kind of a cool bit of history from 1864 with the signature of arguably the greatest president ever. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the library. If you did, please hit the like, subscribe, and bell buttons. And we'll see you again next time here in the arena.